Hi, in this video we are going to go over how to have multiple speakers in InfiniteTalk on Wan2GP. I have a prior video on single-person InfiniteTalk, and I will link that in the video description. For multi-speakers, there's a few gotchas that I will walk you through here so that you can get multiple people or dogs in a video. This video assumes that you know how to get Wan2GP running. If you don't, I will link to a separate video guide. For this demo, I will be running on RunPod in an A40. First thing we're going to do in Wan2GP is go to Wan 2.1 Image to Video 480p Fusion IX 14B and kick off a generation. If you already have the Fusion Explorer downloaded in your LoRa's_I2V directory, or if you want to just download it directly, you can skip the step, but it's an easy, lazy way to make sure the correct LoRa gets downloaded to the correct location. So just kick off a generation and you can abort the generation once the download happens, or you can use this as an opportunity to generate something you were going to generate anyway. Once you do that, the LoRa will automatically download to your LoRa's I2V directory, and you can check that out to make sure it is there, because we're going to need it in InfiniteTalk. Now we're going to open up InfiniteTalk Multi-Speakers 480p under Wan 2.1, and we're going to select Image to Video Smooth Transitions, and then we're going to drag in our reference image. Here we have two dogs, and we want them to be singing the duet. We're going to select Audio to Speakers and have the software auto-separate the speakers. You could separate the audios yourself outside of Wan2GP, but it is handy that it has this feature built in. I am dragging in the vocals only to the duet, so I have a man and a woman singing, alternating. I have removed the background music already in an app called noises.ai. I like to remove the background music first so that I have fewer variables going through my Wan2GP generation. You can use Wan2GP to do the separation. You just click that box below where video motion ignores background music, and it will do the removal of the background music for you, but that does mean that you can't confirm ahead of time that it worked well. So to summarize, I am using Wan2GP to separate the man and the woman speaking into different tracks, but I am separately removing the background music myself. So if you're doing a song, you can have it, you can just throw the song in and have Wan2GP do everything, or you can have a separate app remove the background music and then have Wan2GP separate the different singers. The audio I'm using is 27 seconds, and I found that I run out of RAM in Wan2GP when I try to go to about high 20s of seconds. So I'm going to do this in two different generations. I'm going to cut the audio where there's a gap so that I can stitch this together later. Now we're going to use Wan2GP's Video Mask Creator tool in order to tell the model which dog is speaking at which time. So we're going to drag in our image into this masking tool and then click Load Image. And then you're going to click on just one of the dogs or people. If you're doing people or whatever you're doing, you're going to click on one of them and keep clicking until you get a good outline, and then click Add Mask and then Image Matting, and you're going to scroll down and you're going to see a mask created. We don't care about the mask at all. We care about the bounding box that it determined. So this shows where in the image this dog is located. And we can copy that and go back to our InfiniteTalk. If you scroll down, you'll see there's a place to put the locations of your speakers. So we are going to paste our first speaker in there. And by first speaker, I mean just as a placeholder. We haven't determined actually the order of the speakers yet, but we're just going to get the locations of the two speakers right now. So now we want to get the location of the second speaker. So we're going to clear our clicks, but I've actually found that this does not work. I'm going to show you that when I try to do just the second dog, it's going to do both dogs again, which is not what we want. So if we do Add Mask and then Image Matting, it's going to give us a bounding box that includes both dogs, which is not what we want. So I found the best way to deal with this is to just remove the image and upload it again. So click on an X on the image and then pull in the image again. So now we have a fresh canvas, and we're going to now just click on the second speaker. until it highlights, and then add mask, then image matting, and then we will get our second bounding box that just refers to our second dog there. Great, copy that. Now we can go back to our InfiniteTalk and add that second bounding box with a space separating them. So now we have our darker furred dog bounding box in the first position, and our lighter furred dog as the second bounding box, and the audio tracks will map to these bounding boxes. So whatever we get separated from audio as the first audio track will be assigned to the first bounding box dog, our darker furred dog, and then the second one to the second one. The problem we're going to hit is the audio separator is not deterministic in which it will pull as, quote, the first and the second. It is not necessarily the first speaker in the combined track you give it. So we're going to kick off our generation, and then we're going to look at the audio files generated to make sure it's in the order we want it to be before we continue. So let's set up our other configuration options so we can kick off the generation. Let's write a short prompt. The dogs are singing. And then we're going to keep this at 480p, 9:16, 275 frames, 25 times our number of seconds. Then we're going to make 14 as our inference steps. With single person InfiniteTalk, I can get away with 8 to 10, but with multi, I find that you need more, so I'm kicking it up to 14. Set a seed for reproducibility, guidance of 1, audio guidance of 6 or 7. I'll do 6 for this. Shift scale of 3 and the Uni PC scheduler. Great. Under the LoRa's tab, we're going to select that LoRa we downloaded, the Fusion X LoRa, and set that at a 1.0 multiplier. Then under step skipping, we're going to select Tcache. And that should do it. We click generate. The model will load and download if we don't have it already on our machine. And we're going to hit this error that no module named pianote is found. This might be fixed by the time you do this, but if not, it's really easy to fix. You just have to pip install pianote.audio, and it will install, and then you will have the missing requirement, and you can kick off the generation again. So that should fix that, and we can tail our logs once again. And the first thing it's going to do is that audio separator is going to work. So we can go over to Jupyter to go see the 2 audio files that are created. In outputs, we can see that it has written 2 files, audio temp1 and audio temp2. So I'm going to download those so I can take a listen to see which voice is in which file. And what I want is that the male voice is in the first position, temp 1, because I want the dog on the left to be the male voice, and I used his bounding box as the first bounding box. And from taking a listen, the temp 1 file is the male voice, so it is matched up correctly. So all you want to do is make sure that the temp 1 audio file matches up with whatever you used in your first bounding box, and that the temp 2 is the voice that you want in your second bounding box. Unfortunately, the separator is not deterministic, so you go through this process. If they are not in the order you want, you can abort the generation and then go select 2 speakers. Audio sources are assumed to be in parallel because that is what the script already produced. And then you can take temp 1 audio, drag it into the first space, temp 2 audio in the second space, and then your first bounding box will be explicitly linked to the first upload box and your second bounding box to your second upload box, and then click generate again. And we have our result. It took about 30 minutes to generate this 11 seconds.
Alexander, come back to sleep.
I have an early meeting out of town.
It's still dark outside.
I know.
I think the lip sync is really good. The quality of the video is not great, so I'm going to use V-Enhancer to enhance this. But let's kick off the generation of the second half. The only difference is we're going to trim the audio from the end to get that end audio piece. And since we now have 17 seconds, we are going to have to change our frame number to 425. And then click Generate. We're going to have to check our temp 1 audio and temp 2 audio that writes out again, because this is a separate splitting of audio, and we want to make sure that temp 1 reflects the voice of the character in the first bounding box, and the temp 2 audio has the voice of the character in the second bounding box. Sounds like we're good, so we're going to let it run. And it took almost 50 minutes to generate the 17 seconds. And let's see the output.
To write something down.
Why do you write like you're running out of time? Come back to bed, that would be enough.
I thought the lip sync was great, but the output
you know
was
I'm
not as
gone.
clear as I'd like, so I ran it through the
This
enhancer
meeting's at
and then
dawn.
added back in the instruments
Alexander, come
and
back
got the
to
result that I'm
sleep.
showing now.
I have an early meeting.
We'll do a
out
separate
of
video on the
town.
enhancer if anyone's interested,
still
and
dark
I hope this was
I know.
helpful.
I just need to write something down.
Why do you write like you're running out of time? Come back to bed, that would be enough.
I'll be back before you know I'm gone.
Come back to sleep.
This meeting's at dawn.
Thanks for watching.